Well, this is our first, actually it's not, I don't even think this is the first time we've sat on a bed and had an interview, but.
I was like, this is the first time we've had a camera facing your bed.
It's our favorite.
At Comic-Con.
Right. It's our favorite so far. Welcome to the Totally Normal Podcast and Boozy Book Club. It's in the morning, we're having booze, and we're here with our favorites, Christina and Lauren. I'm Becca.
I'm Nikki.
I'm Bethany. Just drank.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Christina.
And we are here at Comic-Con 2018. Super excited to talk with our favorites. They really are our favorites. You guys know this if you've been around for a while, that we love their books, we love everything they write, but there's some that stick out more than others, and there's been one recently that we've all been crazy about, so we're going to get to that. We have no real agenda here. We told you that. We're just going to talk.
Is this our ninth?
I want to point out that we had an interview in probably this room like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Before like the madness.
Yeah.
The
Really
bestsellers.
We've known you guys for what?
9. This is like our 9th Comic-Con together.
And we knew you guys pretty early.
So when
on.
we did that first interview 5 years ago, was that, what had you written
Probably
in 2013?
Bastard.
Bastard.
Bastard, Stranger, Player, Bitch, Bombshell, Beginning all came out in 2013.
What? That's why we look like
We had
this.
6. I'm actually 19.
Yes.
Hot hands. Tiny hot hands.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
So this is perfect like circle back here.
Yes, it is.
To talk about the next
The next
iteration.
5 years.
Yeah.
So in the last 5 years, you've written how many books?
Well, published 20.
20. Our 21st first book is Josh and Hazel.
Yes, but we have written 25. 4 or 5. Because we have 1, 2, 3 that are written
Not
that
out.
aren't out yet,
And then
one that we wrote that
So
I don't know if it will
25.
ever- Yeah, 25 books.
Yeah, that was my next question. You have
gosh.
something you've written you don't think will ever get published?
I don't know.
We love it, but I feel like that time may have passed. It feels like that other people have done something
Is this the first
similar.
book you wrote together?
Yeah.
It was
It's
sort of
YA,
like,
right?
Yeah, it was YA mythology. with
Skinny dipping.
Skinny dipping, and the Fates were the bad guys, and it was this cool sort of X-Men. Your other soul is out there, and once you meet, you're more powerful.
Yeah.
It was just a really cool concept, but I don't know.
It was
that
5 years ago.
Yeah.
and
Right.
People
A lot
have done
has
so
happened.
much, and
Yeah.
so.
Maybe we'll just change. We'll put Edward and Bella in there.
Right.
We'll just post it as fan fiction.
That would be so fun.
TBY 789 Alola shoe.
You know how like fast the traffic would be if like TBY 79 came out with something, people like, what?
I just got an alert, guys.
Doesn't fanfiction.net
Updated.
That would be hilarious.
I got in the forum.
It's
Twilighted.
The black background. Oh.
So don't ever go on Twilighted and look for any.
That's why I wear
problems.
glasses, is because of that black background.
Because we would all like read fic for hours.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's very bad.
That doesn't exist. Is stuff still on there?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure. I
it's
see
around.
people tweeting about updates all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, people are still writing.
God, love fan fiction.
Fanfiction.
Yeah.
No, there's fan fiction about your books.
Yes. Mostly autobiography.
Right. You tell us that.
How does that feel?
Oh, it's amazing.
Actually, there is a Beautiful Bastard fanfic where it's the Beautiful Basset, and it's about a dog.
Oh, yeah,
A dog
I
that
love
eats
that
underwear.
sound. Somebody
Yeah.
sent
A dog
me
that what?
That eats underwear. Eats underwear.
Yeah,
She
there
wrote
you go.
Because everybody who has a dog can totally relate. So, and then
I mean, Bennett's not eating underwear.
he's not eating underwear.
But I think it's because somebody asked me the other day, is there Beautiful Bastard fanfic? And I was like, I don't know if there is, but part of it is because a lot of us wrote fanfic because we felt the books were missing something, and
Right.
I don't really know what, like, more, you know what I mean? Like, basically,
I love novellas.
there's no fade to black,
Right.
you know, but autobiography, there's like 11 in there, I think, and
Fade to black.
no, I mean,
fanfics.
fics. And it just makes me so happy, and a lot of them are those, like, moments, like, right after, or there's one, I think, that's, like, in somebody else's point of view, like, when they hear about Tanner and Sebastian, and, you know, so.
But
It's
they're-
very sweet. Those just make our heart, like,
Yeah. But they're nothing like super risque, you said.
No,
right? Like,
no.
nobody's like taking
So
it to
far they're
like.
pretty
I mean, people can write whatever they want, but
Right.
yeah.
So when you find that there is fanfic about it, do you read it immediately or do you?
I've read almost all of them. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of
authors are like, no, I'm not going to read fic of my own.
I think if it was a series, we probably wouldn't just because we wouldn't want to be like influenced, and I think legally some authors say they can't.
Yeah.
But I mean, the material belongs to you, so you can pretty much do whatever you want with your characters. For us, because we don't currently have plans to write a follow-on to autobiography, it's sort of like, yeah, let's see what you want to do. And when people say, can you write what happens next, we're like, you write it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
we
like,
tell everybody that.
We're always about fic, so.
I mean, that's how we, obviously, you know, that's how we met. So when we see that we inspired somebody else to write fic, that's like the biggest compliment in the world to us.
That's awesome. So you had autobiography, which was your second YA, published YA?
Third, yeah.
We have Sublime, The House.
Oh, I forgot about Sublime. Or The House. Okay, so then that was your third YA. Then this year you had your first, I'm going to say the title wrong, and every time I sing it, cue a Sandy Patty song. Yeah, I think it's called Love in Any Language, which if you're an old Christian, you'll recognize.
An old Christian, ex-evangelical.
You will recognize Sandy Patty over here. I don't remember what it's called.
Love in other words.
Loved that book. And so that's your
thank you.
first adult.
It's our first sort of mainstream fiction. They were calling it women's fiction, but I think a lot of readers got confused thinking, oh, that means somebody dies. And we're like, no, we're never going to kill somebody in a romance. That's not the contract we have with readers. So we're trying to rebrand it as like mainstream romantic fiction.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And how has that been received?
Really well.
People love it.
Yeah, it's been great. And we had a lot of fun. We went on a tour for that one. So we got to meet a lot of readers that we wouldn't normally have met. We did a couple events in Minnesota, and I would say one of them was in a church, which was great because that was the first time we'd ever signed Bastard in a church.
Yeah.
And nobody caught fire, so that was great. But the cool thing is when we were speaking about our books and how we met and stuff, we were looking at the audience, and it was probably 70% women over 60.
Yeah.
Which is not our usual readership, but a lot of them were like, you know, just hearing you speak and hearing you talk about the story, I am going to pick this book up and read it. So those kinds of, that was what was nice about Love in Other Words, is we're not going to get the 60-plus crowd with Beautiful Bastard for the most part.
Right.
But it is nice to be able to write these more like mainstream romantic fiction pieces and have people come on board.
And are there more planned in that? Are you working on any other women?
I mean, I think our brand has morphed a little bit more to this space of like dating you, hating you, roomies, Josh and Hazel, you know, where we still have those scenes, but they're not as explicit and overt.
Right.
And partly that's just because where our interests are in terms of writing and reading, but also I think that sort of, it allows more people to come in and enjoy the characters.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants like overt sex on the page.
Right.
So.
The way they explained it to us, because when we first we first started talking about Love in Other Words and stuff, there was a big gap between like one type of book and another, but in that time the stories have sort of changed. So like the way they described it to us with Love in Other Words is that there's a story outside of the love relationship. There's still a romance and everything. She just has a journey outside of it. But the thing is most of our books have that now. Right. You know, Josh and Hazel, Remi's, you know, like Holland, she has her own thing she has to find outside.
Right.
So because when we did that deal, what she means is like we were writing the sexy series.
We were writing Wild Seasons at that time.
So they wanted standalones outside of that genre, that feel. So, but by the time Love in Other Words came out, we had already done that. Right. So it was sort of
So I don't know if we'll have that separation anymore.
Yeah.
I just think some books like lend themselves to be funnier and are more rom-com-y, and some are.
Right, it's probably your most serious book.
Yeah.
Right? Would you say that?
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like
it's
more
Sublime,
earnest.
which is like
Yeah.
very serious.
Yeah.
Autobiography serious.
Yeah, that's
It is.
I guess in your
It's
adult.
true. It's earnest in a way.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like autobiography is sort of sweetly earnest.
I think we get more reviews, like emails and things and tweets about that book than anything outside of even maybe Bastard. I think just because when they love it, it just touches something in them so much that they feel, you know, they really want to talk to us about it.
Well, it is also the first book we have people who like the books because they're fun and they take them to the beach or they take them on vacation or it's just an escape in a daily life. But like autobiography, we get emails about people who it feels like it spoke to them about who they are in a way that they haven't been able to find. And that's the first book we've ever had reach readers in that way, so it's been amazing.
Do you feel like you've opened, or do you have a younger audience because of that book? Like, do you have a YA audience?
Yeah, I mean,
been growing.
It's not just young. Way more men than we did. And what's great is we have these guy readers who come in. They came in because of autobiography, but then the other day I saw somebody write a review for Josh and Hazel, and he loved it so much.
Who had come in through
autobiography.
Cool.
And so that was really great.
Do you see a difference in how the men react to women who read your books, or is...
Yeah, I mean, not in terms of autobiography, not so much. I feel like women who read it and relate to it respond sort of the same way. And that's actually something I really like. It's just because it's two guys doesn't mean that a queer woman doesn't also relate to the story in the same way.
Or a straight woman.
Yeah, or a straight woman.
It's just a romance. That's what we tell people.
Yeah.
It's just a romance.
So, but for our other romance books, I think women tend to read them more frequently than men. Although in Brazil, it's more even. Brazil has an awesome audience. Like, everybody reads everything. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We had guys come up in line that had, like, beautiful bastard t-shirts and tattoos, and we were like, tattoos?
And we haven't been to the Philippines yet, but we get a lot of tweets, and there are a lot of men. Boys, you know.
Yeah.
Brazil, I think the readership is a little younger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they would come with their parents.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Autobiography is a book that I have given people.
Aw,
Like when we have conversations, like I have a lot of conversations with like religious people about being an LGBT like ally and affirming and all of that kind of stuff, and I'm like, well, just read this because it just gives them. A lot of people have a hard time, at least in my circle, have a hard time like just relating to someone because they don't know any LGBT people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same with me in Utah.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, if you can personalize it, you can understand a little bit better, like why you need to be thinking in different terms. And so it's a very easy way to get them into that personalization.
It makes me so happy because we asked Beth to read it before it published, just to like from a sort of romance in religion or in the context of faith way, and I loved your feedback, and I was really grateful that you were willing to read it.
Yeah. Because it was really
I'm glad you
important to
trusted me with
us
it.
that we get that book right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
It's good.
Have you had like pushback or feedback from an audience at all? Because he is Mormon.
No, I mean, so my brother is LDS. My family is LDS.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he married into
I guess I
it.
should have assumed.
Yeah,
I didn't
He
assume
married
that.
into it.
Oh, he married into it.
Yeah, my
Okay.
sister-in-law.
She's rad.
She's amazing. She's read it. I feel like my brother is almost more Mormon than she is because I sometimes feel like people who convert are.
But they're cool. They're going to the Love Loud concert.
Yeah, they're going to the Love Loud
like,
concert. So the singer of Imagine Dragons, he's Mormon, and he does. This is the second year. So like we were working with this group called Encircle. That's an LGBTQ youth group in Utah, right across from the Provo Temple. And so Imagine Dragons, they put on this concert in Salt Lake City at Rice Eccles Stadium, which is the University of Utah, like football stadium. And the money goes to Encircle. Cool. And there's actually a documentary, I think, right now called Believe, that's on HBO that talks about it.
It's
about that. But my brother is he was very upset when we first started writing it because he was like, she's taking something that's super important to me, and he thought it was going to be like one of our, like a rom-com or something. And now he sort of gets it. He hasn't read it, but he gets that I wouldn't, because even though I'm not Mormon, I find myself being very protective of them sometimes, because people have a lot of misconceptions, and so.
Cool.
Yeah. But no real pushback. If anything, people that are Mormon that have read it have said they think we're too fair.
We did go to a creative writing class at the University of Utah and talk about the book, and we brought Maddie, who's our friend Ann Jameson hooked us up with. Maddie had gone to BYU, and he grew up LDS, and he went on his mission just after he came out to his parents. So he was like trying to reconcile how he could be gay and stay in the church, and he was excommunicated and kicked out of BYU, and he told his bishop that he kissed a guy.
Yeah.
And so,
which is what happens.
Yeah. And so we, he was great. We like met and outlined the book, and he was there kind of giving us feedback, and he had saved all of his letters and communication with his bishop and his dad and his boyfriend that he had in secret in high school and stuff. And anyway, so the three of us went out and talked to a creative writing class at the University of Utah, and they all had to read the book. That was an assignment. And so it was clear that some of them were like not pleased, but everybody was very respectful and listened. And then there were a few people, there were a lot of them who said, I loved this book so much, and here's why. And there were a few that we could tell like didn't want to read it, didn't like it, but were still polite. And then there were some who came up and said, I wasn't actually very excited to read this, but I really really loved it. You guys did a good job. So that was very satisfying. And we totally understood the people who wanted to keep their distance because it is critical of the church.
Right.
You know, and that's something they're going to have to work through because, you know, we're not on the wrong side of that. But, you know, it's their personal life and their faith. So.
Wow.
Let's maybe switch and talk about Josh and Hazel.
Josh and Hazel.
And some of our writers readers have read some arcs and are super excited.
Yeah.
And it's
So Josh and Hazel comes out
September 4th.
September. So yeah, so the arcs have been out there. So we even just this week, our like group texts of a bunch of writers have. I think Tiff and Heidi were both like, we have to talk to the girls about Josh and Hazel. So they're probably going to be mad that we're already talking about it, but we can do it again. Because I think Tiff said like this is the first book in a while I've connected with. Like she hasn't read some of the most recent ones, or just felt like okay, but here it is again. Like she's like, this is it.
Yeah.
She said it's her favorite book.
I do feel like it sort of blends the new CeeLo feel with the old CeeLo feel.
That's really great.
Yeah,
That's
it
what she
has
said
this
on
sort
the
of
cover.
like zany, sexy fun, but also has a little bit more grown-up feel too. So we had so much fun writing this book.
And you had said, I don't know if are you comfortable sharing kind of what you said this book brought
Oh
back
yeah,
for you?
yeah. So like 2016 was really hard for me, and I got really sick, and I had surgery, and I just like had a really hard time kind of getting back into writing. I was struggling a lot. I was so patient, but this was the first book that I felt like I found my voice again. Like I was writing it going, because I'm a really insecure writer anyway, and this was this book, I remember writing a scene going, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Because even as much as I've done it, I still find myself worrying I'm like an imposter, you know, something all the time. So I love that book so much. I love them so much. Yeah. So
She wrote the scene in the tiki bar, the first date, where they're on the first blind date and they're doing the trivia night, and she sent it to me, and I was rolling. I still laugh when I read that scene. I love it so much. And there's still, I mean, that's the thing, is we go through this so many times, so by the time we're doing copy edits or past pages, we're like, you know, but it still makes us laugh. So.
Yeah, we really hope that when people read it, they can tell how much fun we were having, because it was just so much fun. Yeah. When we first started writing, you know, we used to say all the time that we really just like write to make each other laugh, and that's what this book was. And they're so sweet, and you really just watch them fall in love. Yeah. And Josh is so like
patient.
He's so patient and sweet, and he's so like charmed by her. Do you know what I mean? Even though in the beginning he thinks it's this like, oh, you dork, you goof, you know, and I love them so much. I would read fic of them.
So he very consciously, like, I think a big part of it is his Korean culture and his Korean heritage. So what was that about? Do you have a recent like conversation with somebody? Was that why did you choose to make him that character?
That was just who he was in our head.
Okay.
It wasn't like we need to plug a Korean hero in here. It was just when we started talking about them, he was Korean, and he had a Korean family, and obviously, and they had, you know, his family was very important to him, and so we had to do research, and we had, you know, pre-readers and sensitivity readers and whatnot, but that's just who he was, you know?
Yeah.
Love him.
We were really lucky that we went into our Facebook group and asked if there were any Korean Americans or people who married into a Korean family or anything that would be willing to help us. And we had so many readers who were like, yes, you know, I married a Korean, you know, and they filled out like a little questionnaire, and then they read with us and answered questions, and I always tell everybody, so I didn't really know what K-pop was before, but one of them, we were talking about honorifics, and she was like, oh, you should watch this, and this, and I went in and started watching videos, and I just like went down this.
Yeah,
you all follow me on Twitter. You all know.
That's
So
what sent me down the rabbit hole.
yeah, so people are like, oh, is that why he's Korean? And I'm like, no, actually he was Korean before that, and then I like discovered all this stuff after. So
yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Just even like it was obviously. With you guys in general, I know you don't make shit up. So you were like, clearly like, like the mom dropping off rice, and he's like, I don't need rice. Like, Mom, I don't.
Yeah, those were stories they like
sure
specifically told us. They're so
and like the cutting the paper napkins in half, and like we said, like tell us some of your anecdotes so that we can plug them in and make sure it feels authentic and like build this scene around it. And it was
and one of them, like her husband read. And he's Korean, and he read, and he like loved it, and they were so sweet giving us feedback. And Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's an awesome. Yeah, it really is. I read it at the beach. My boyfriend was like, "How are you that far into that book already?" And I was like,
I mean, it's also a fast read.
It really
is.
You know,
it was 2 beach seating. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it in, I think, 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
Like,
You're
I would
a
have
fast
3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speed reader.
So you mentioned rom-com recently, and so let's talk about where your movies are, if you have movies, you know, because you obviously have projects that are some you
Yes.
can talk about, some you can't.
Yeah.
What can you talk about?
So we're working with a director named Andy Fickman. He's known for She's the Man, which is one of my kids'
He's like my kids.
Yeah, and he also does a lot of Broadway work. So right now he's opening Heathers in London, and they just got moved to the West End because they sold out their entire run.
wow.
Awesome.
So he's at
I have to tell you too, he's like, he was in Andrew Lloyd Webber's theater, so he just casually like drops the name like, oh, and then Andrew Lloyd Webber, it's the conversation, and we're just like,
Is he English? He's British?
No,
he's not.
He's American.
Yeah.
And he gets it, and he loved the Broadway aspect of Rumi. So Jenna Dewan and her production partner, Jean Song, we had a shopping agreement with them, and they took it to Andy, his production company, Oops Donuts. He works with this woman named Betsy Solinger, who we love. And they're the team behind Liv and Maddie, which I don't know if
on
your
the Disney
kids
Channel.
No.
have watched that. My kids watched it obsessively. So when I found that out, I like for a girl, and they're like, "This is cute that this like romance author is."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our production team, and we're adapting the book into a script, and so we sent the first draft a few weeks ago. We're going to have a notes call next week, and everything's moving along really well.
What's really great is that when Rumies showed up on Oops Donuts, like at their office, Betsy was like, I know these guys. I've read all their books.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Oh,
So
that's
she's
awesome.
a romance reader.
And who is Betsy?
So she's Andy's
Producing partner.
producing
got it.
partner.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Yeah.
she had read all of our books like as they came out.
As they came out.
So she's like, funny thing, I read these authors. So when
Yeah, she
we
was like,
went-
I've already read this. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
So when we went up to meet with them, we brought copies of every single one of our books for Betsy and for Jenna, and so we're like walking through, and it was cool. It was a little bit like, here are all of our books.
Yeah.
So are
Have
they
a
still
rainbow
involved?
Yeah.
Are they on like the production side then?
Yes.
Yes, and
yes.
they're super hands-on, and the great thing is like we had this draft of the script, and we had done a rewrite and a polish back in the day when we had the Beautiful Bastard option, but we'd never written a script from page, like empty page, right? And so we had it ready, and we were like, but is it good enough? I mean, we think it's good, but then you just never know. So we called Betsy, and she's like, just send it to me. I'll take a look and let you know. And she was like, you guys, this is a really great first draft. And she gave us some notes, but it was so nice to be able to have that safety of sending it
Right.
to somebody, you know, where you feel comfortable enough saying, like, tell us if this really sucks. Because we don't want to send it to Jenna and Andy if it's like,
Right.
you know.
Because when Jenna's name pops up in our email, it's always like a little like,
Oh.
Yeah.
make sure there's like no typos.
Yeah.
But she's very nice.
She is. She's
Yeah.
lovely.
Cool.
What if she wasn't? Would you tell us if she wasn't?
Afterwards.
She's very nice and very beautiful. So she's like sitting across the table from us.
And we're like,
It's fine.
So when we first met in this room to talk about your books, you said you had written 5
Mhm.
in a year. Are you still writing at that
no.
that
We're doing
pace?
like 2 to 3 a year. We're writing about 2.5 books a year.
And are
We
you
have other
writing
things
because you
going
have
on.
deals already for those books?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So you're contracted to write them?
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But we, you know, now we have scripts we're
Yeah.
working on and, you know, things like that. So, we just don't have as, like, we couldn't write 5 books or 6 books anyway, so, yeah.
Also, our kids are at ages where they need more from us.
Right.
You know, I mean, as they get older, they really do need more, and so we've had to learn balance because our first few years, like 2013 through 2015, we were traveling a lot. And, you know, our kids were little, and so it's at the age where, like, you know where they are every second. They're in daycare or they're at home.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like they have soccer and whatever, so we've had to learn how to, like, really manage that.
Yeah.
And just have better balance
Yeah.
for our health, too.
I mean, my daughter's 17 and I still feel like I have to watch her as much, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What are your tricks to life-work balance?
We've learned to remind each other to take a break. We both have like found ways to be healthy in terms of eating and exercise that I think we didn't bother with early on because it was all moving so fast. We were like, ugh, we'll deal with this
Gotta get
later.
it done.
Mm-hmm.
And it is easy to forget. You know, time to take care of yourself and just sit and write all day because you have a deadline, and it's like, well, you know.
Do you keep like office hours? Like, do you try to do writing hours? I can imagine you do and you don't.
Well, no, part of it is just that I'm slower. So Lo is kind of able to, you know.
I can get my word count done in a certain block, but she just needs a longer time to get those things rolling.
But do you have like, I'm usually writing between 9 and 12. And then
I mean, I'm usually always in my office by like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
so you try to be done at like a normal.
No, I mean, like I usually, there are times I get to 11:30 at night and I'm like still sitting there, but it's because I haven't sat there the whole time.
Right.
I'm getting better. I just think that there's been a point where I used to like force myself to sit there, and now I just get up and walk away and come back later.
If it's not coming, you cannot.
That's also the good part about having a co-author is that I can text her and be like, this. I texted her the other day. I was like, this conversation is just like, I've lost sight of what it is they're supposed to be talking about. You know what I mean? So
the best thing is being able to send her a scene and be like, I'm stuck. Can you write the next bit? Just to like,
Except the other day I sent her one and I was like, I just need you to read this and tell me if I'm way off the mark. And then she like got in and she spent like 2 hours revising it. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I just wanted you to tell me what they should talk about next. Thanks. So yeah.
It's a good system.
But we're much better now about like putting our phone on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, our agent Holly is so great that she just doesn't answer emails on the weekend unless it's like, you know, super important. She doesn't, and we've learned to be a little bit more
We've learned
like
that the world doesn't fall apart if somebody can't reach you for a little while. And I think that you guys know how it is, especially when things are first getting started. It's exciting and you want to be, you know, involved and like get right back to people and stuff, but sometimes it's good to just be like,
and I think that's normal.
Because nobody expects you to answer their email at 9 o'clock.
Nobody in a corporate office is answering their emails.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Usually on a Saturday.
Or they're a psycho and you don't want to work with them.
Right.
Exactly. Just saying.
Or they sent that email and they were like, I hope they don't get back to me.
Please don't respond.
I want it out of my inbox, so I usually do.
So what's on the horizon? What's the future? What can we look for besides Josh and Hazel?
So December 4th, we have another sort of rom-com book out. It's called My Favorite Half-Night Stand, and that one's also really fun. That one is about a group of professors at UC Santa Barbara, and Barack Obama is coming to speak at their commencement, and they all want +1s, but they don't have dates, so they go onto a dating app together, and 2 of them end up matching. And so he doesn't know it's her, but she knows it's him, and so it's hijinks. But it's really fun. I really love that one. And her expertise is female serial killers.
I was reading a book on female serial killers, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if somebody was like, that was their job? Yeah. So you can just find inspiration everywhere.
Yeah. So it's been really fun. And let's see, we're working on a book now. We have revisions on one that we have to do. It's got a little panicky.
I know.
Because
they're sort of big.
And that one comes out, that one comes out next May, and we haven't announced the title, I don't think of that yet. And then the one we're writing right now, I think comes out fall of 2019, and that one is like, it's like Josh and Hazel level of adorable for me. I'm having so much fun. It's all I want to do is write this book. Because it's a little bit of like the hate dynamic that Chloe and Bennett have, but it's like,
but it's
more lighthearted, and it's not quite as like slam you against the wall sexy. It's more like funny, and I just love writing that.
It also
so
just
much.
feels like a movie. It just feels like a rom-com. Those are, I think, our favorites. You know, is when that's what it feels like in your head.
When you're like writing something that's something that you're really excited about, are you reading a lot too, or do you feel like you can't because you don't want it to enter in? Or
the problem is we used to say we can't read while we're drafting because we don't want the voice to influence us. The problem is we're always drafting, so we would never read.
Right.
So we just try and read something really different from what we're writing. So like right now she's reading I'll Be Gone in the Dark, which is the Golden State Killer, the Michelle McNamara.
Yeah, totally different.
And Daniel Steele, which is also very different.
Yeah,
totally.
And I've been like reading Cloud Atlas and, you know, some nonfiction stuff, so that's good.
Okay.
But when we go on vacation, we take like a big stack of romantic comedies and just like.
Like we both just read Crazy Rich Asians together. So
Excited about.
Yes.
I haven't read it, but I'm excited about the movie.
Yeah, I can't wait for the movie.
The book is really good. It's very descriptive. I mean, it's basically all you want to do when you're reading is like go clothes shopping and eat. Because it's like one of the characters is this just amazing. She spends a ton of money shopping, and then the rest of it is just describing the food.
Wow.
I think the movie will be more rom-com than the book felt, though. The book is written by a man, and I feel like it's rom-com-y, but I feel like it's a little different than maybe like the rom-coms we're sort of used to.
Right.
Have you read it?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well tell me when you read it. But I feel like from the trailer, it feels very like romance heavy.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, because there's multiple points of view in the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I'm excited about the resurgence of rom-com. Like,
Same.
we watched Set It Up, and I was like, this is the best thing I've
Best
ever
movie
seen.
I've ever
I can't.
seen.
I
This
mean,
is what we all
said that.
want.
and it was really, it was a good movie, but it wasn't like it was the best movie. It was just been so starved.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And I'm glad that
since
they're doing well and people are talking about them.
Yeah.
You know, that it's like a thing. It's not just like our little pocket of the internet that
Right.
wants them. So.
Right.
And that there are so many venues. There's like Netflix, Hulu, Apple I think is gonna have one, Amazon, YouTube. Yeah, it's not just like every single thing has to be a movie you would go see in the theaters.
Right.
Right.
Especially because when you have kids, most of you don't go anyway.
Yeah, right.
And my kids love the PG-13 rom-coms.
Yeah.
They are like rom-com
Oh, really?
fans. Yes.
Which is why we tell people if you want to see this stuff, you have to support it when it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, they have a good cache of books to choose
We
from.
do.
Yes.
They don't, yeah. For sure. Well, any other last parting words, questions until we do this 5 years from now on another bed?
Somebody's gonna ask us about Beautiful Bastard.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And
we'll talk
so
about
we
it
hopefully have news soon.
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 Stay tuned.
Maybe that news will be out before y'all see
Yeah,
this.
depends on how we edit it. Right, exactly. All right, well, thank you guys. We're so glad that we're here with you once
Love to see you
again.
guys.
See you on the interwebs.